Welcome back to the What Are You Made Of podcast with your boy, Mike C-Roc. And I am very, very excited today because I have a good friend of mine, Chris Donaldson, on. And, we go way back to the 10X Stages course that we took together. But before I get into that, I want to thank you guys for joining us again today. I always like to show gratitude. I know that if you're watching, there's a thing in the background of Chris's that says grateful. And that's something that I am for all of you, for all of your support, your listenership, and being a part of the Waymo movement. It means a lot because I can't do what I do, and I can't do my mission by myself. I need people to do it, and I need believers in the mission. And I just want to thank all of you for that and for listening to my story when I told it. So with that being said, Chris Donaldson is my main man from actually, you know what? I'm going to let you get into what you do, because you could say it the best. But we took a 10X Stages course under Pete Vargas and Pat Quinn together. And we actually went to Miami in a small group setting. We invested tons of money into that. And for, what we learned was pretty powerful. And we hit it off. And I actually started my podcast career being invited onto Chris's podcast, Office Hours, I believe it's called.
That's it, man.
And I was thankful for that opportunity. And then that set me off on a mission. And that mission has allowed me to come to you guys and bring my story and bring content to you. So first of all, I'm grateful for you as well, Chris. And I want to thank you and welcome you to the show.
Hey, Mike, it's really good to see you, my friend. I'll tell you something just to start out that I appreciate about you as much as anybody. And that is, when we did our podcast, you said you were going to do this. You said you were going to go and you were going to execute. And I've been watching, I've been supporting, I've been doing everything I can from afar. And you did it, my man. You're a man of your word, which is why we connected early on. Even we were in that small group. I discovered, just like you did, how hard it is to take your story and compress it and then expand it, compress it, expand it. But you're a man of your word. You said you were going to go help a lot of people. You said you were going to start a movement. And you did, man. Like, I'm super proud.
Thanks.
And I've got a lot to learn from you now. I've been hiding in business world, and it's been a little bit interesting lately.
Well, I'll tell you, though, the thing is that you inspired me. And so when that happens, then I feel like that I owe it to you and then many others to give back what was given to me. So I just want to thank you as well. And enough of the love fest. Hey, listen, so here's the thing. So what I did with my business, just to give you an idea, and then I'm going to get into what you're made of, since you brought that up. If you want to do something, like I wanted to do this to get known and get out of obscurity, right? And get known on a global level. And I said, well, how am I going to do that if I got a mortgage division that I'm trying to run with my partners? How am I going to do that? So one thing that we decided to do, and I got with my partners and we communicated this clearly. Guys, I'm going to go on this journey. This is going to help our business. It's going to align well with our business. I need your help. And I need your understanding of what we're doing. And not all of them bought in right away, but then they started seeing the vision and they started seeing the results and they bought in, and that allowed me to do this. So I can't do this without them and without my team. And, I'm very thankful that I had that opportunity to do this. But again, this is at the end of the day going to benefit us. So that's why I've been able to get out of the business side of things, like full-time part, and still be able to quarterback and all that. But anyway, so hey, let's get into your story, man. Listen, the whole thing with this show, we have a routine here that we talk about finding out what you're made of, and what are you made of movement's all about is turning letdowns, setbacks, anything that appears negative, whether it's people, events, something that happens, whatever it is, and converting that into rocket fuel for your future. And once you get that in your mind and understand that rule, that dominating rule of Waymo rule number 1, your life will never be the same. You handle things way differently. And you produce way more than you ever could imagine that you could have. And so we like to talk about things that people have been through and hear their stories about what setbacks they had, what letdowns, what parents, maybe family, friends, or just anything that's happened. And then how they overcame that and used that and converted that into rocket fuel for the future. So Chris, what are you made of, brother?
What am I made of? Well, I'll tell you what, man. Since we're sitting here in these interesting times, right? The coronavirus thing going on, all the uncertainty that's out there. I'm here in New Orleans, sitting in the city where on the national news, you guys might be wondering if we're like allowed to leave state lines, if we're allowed to like move. But we're used to this down here because my story really started with Katrina. I mean, I'm a Katrina story. It took me a while to kind of figure that out. So for those that remember Hurricane Katrina, all the stuff you saw in the news, all that was real and it was worse. This may not be the same right now, but back then was worse. And for me, as an independent, first oldest child, we had a family business that I was determined not to get into. It was not my thing. It was not going to be my way. I wanted to chart my own course, and I wanted nothing to do with it until Katrina happened. And, you know, there's a saying, and Mike, I think we've talked about this before, but it's don't ignore the signs. And sometimes they smack you in the face. Sometimes you have no choice. Sometimes you just have to step up and do it. And for me, Katrina was, and I figured out what I was made of because the family business was in crisis. And if I didn't step up and if I didn't fix it, if I didn't do everything I could to help while I was a senior in college, while all the Katrina fallout was going on, while I wasn't getting paid, man, I don't know where I would be today. That opportunity to do that was sitting right there in front of me. And, you know, look, you put on your armor and you go to battle and you see what you can do. So I don't know how deep you want me to go into that, but I could share a couple of pieces.
Yeah,
as a
man.
22-year-old kid.
Fine. Let's peel some layers back, brother.
All right. Well, so long story short, when I tell this story, a lot of people misunderstand. So I want to make sure that we're clear. My dad spent his livelihood building up the family business, which is a real estate and insurance education company, mortgage lending, appraisal. We do in-class, we do online, basically 360, right? He spent his entire life building this company. He was already considering retirement, stepping back, you know, and you can't write movie scripts like this. When Katrina hit, I don't know if you guys remember, Mike, if you remember, but when the storm went through on Sunday night, overnight, on Monday morning, there was like a 2-hour window where, you know, CNN and Fox News, all these guys were standing in the downtown New Orleans going, I think the worst is over. I think they're going to make it. Everything is going to be fine. There was like this little window where you saw the Superdome kind of blown around and a couple of hotels, but all in all, we had made it through, right? You can't script this. During that 2-hour window or whatever it was, my dad, my stepmom had planned the vacation of their life to be on a boat in the Caribbean off the radar. So when everybody was saying everything was fine, their flight left, they got on a boat, they're off the radar. Then the levees broke. Then all hell broke loose. Then it was nuts. And they literally did not know. Doesn't make them good or bad people. You just cannot define. You can't write this kind of thing. So if you picture it, the family business, the general manager's nowhere to be found. The office manager had stayed in New Orleans. Nobody knew where she was. I'm a senior at LSU just thinking about graduating and not doing anything. And I'm just looking and I'm looking and this family business is sitting here and it needed somebody to get it going. There was nobody to answer the phones. The building was underwater. Our Baton Rouge facility, we had no electricity. So it was just, I don't know. And we talked about this, Mike. I don't know where this comes from, but it's like, somebody's got to do something. And so what I figured out was, I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea how to turn the phones on. I have no idea anything about real estate school. I don't know what I'm doing, but somebody's got to do it. And I figured out that I was a doer. I was a fighter. And that whole fight, flight, or freeze thing, that I was a fighter. I just figured it out.
What year was that? I don't remember.
2005.
Yeah. So that was right before I got into the mortgage business and real estate. Right before that, and so I'm just trying to tie that into where I was at that time. I was. And it was right before the 2008 and all that too.
Exactly right. That was kind of already brewing, which is part of the craziness of the story. So, when you think about that, look, down here in the South, there's like pre-Katrina, post-Katrina. So everybody can kind of landmark themselves based on where they were and what they were doing. But, Katrina was a gift. because I have no idea what I'd be doing or where I'd be if that storm had not forced me through the adversity and given my life meaning. Because honestly, I was just a kid that was kind of your typical college kid. I'm not going to do the family business, but I had no plan. I didn't know what I was going to do, you know? And I was kind of down on my future and all these. I didn't really know what I was going to do. It gave me purpose. And I'm forever thankful for that. And, long story short, but it was about 3 weeks until my parents got back. And when they got back, then the freaking out started, right? But the business was up and running. The online courses were up and running. I was answering the phones, even if I didn't know the answer. I had talked my way into the city with a business permit, and I wasn't even listed just because I happened to have the same last name. So I could go rescue the server. I mean, physical server time back then. There was no cloud. I had to get the server so we had anything going. And through that process, what I realized from a family perspective is me and my dad both just had different directions we wanted to take this thing, right? Different things we wanted to do. Doesn't make either right or wrong. We just realized we weren't going to be able to work together. So one thing led to another. And at 23, so 2006, still the best negotiation I've ever been in. I convinced a commercial lender with a cosigner, but a commercial lender to lend me the money to buy out all the family stock, all the family stake, the entire business, so that from October 1st, 2006, until still to this day, the entire company was my destiny, so that I could grow it, so that I could make it, so that I could make something of myself, but also help others. And it's been a godsend, man. It hadn't been easy, but it's what I was meant to do. It's what I was put on this earth to do. And that adversity of the flood and all of that taught a lot of lessons, man. It really did.
Now, did you and your dad go, like, were you guys having heated battles when you were still doing it and all that, or?
Yeah. I think that it's as much career time as it was father and son stuff. So,
right.
We just operate differently. He wanted to do something different. He was kind of at the point where where he wanted somebody else running it, but he wasn't going to invest in me what I thought I was worth to run it, all those classic stuff. But then I did the craziest, probably the dumbest thing you can do. I just said, well, fine, I'll buy it from you. I didn't even have a credit card yet, Mike. I'd never borrowed $1. I only had debit cards. I had no money, right? I was borrowing against my future self. But in the mortgage business, in 2006 and 2007, ninja loans were a real thing. And I got a ninja loan to buy a company. I had no business being lent that money, right? And what I think was kind of interesting was I don't know Dad's motivation for selling it other than he got to retire. And that was a really happy thing for him. Oh, by the way, so then I bought it, ran it for a year, and then the economy tanked. The real estate economy. So every division of our company was completely, forget the phrase, but underwater.
Yeah.
And so I had to manage a company in crisis that I had just taken over and was going through the 23-year-old boss thing, right? That you have to go through, trying to decide how to lead instead of just manage, on and on and on. I mean, you could pick my brain on all the mistakes I made, all the lessons that I learned. But the one thing I think about all the time, and I'll share this, with your audience, is that I got in the arena, I got on the field, and I played ball. I fought the war. I was the soldier that did what needed to be done. If I had said, nope, I don't work here, not my problem, right? Or I'm graduating school, not my business, nothing for me to worry about. It could have been very easy for me to do that. And all I can tell you is just getting on the field and fighting and figuring it out has taught me a bunch of lessons, some the hard way, but right now people are fighting. We are fighting. And I'm fighting for the 38 people that work with us. I'm fighting for our customers. I'm fighting for the future of our business. So what am I made of? I know I'm a fighter, and I know I'm a winner. And the reason I know that is because there's no alternative. There's no alternative. There was no closing up shop then. There's no closing up shop now. It's exactly the same thing. I'm just older and wiser. So I owe it to our company to use some of that wisdom that we figured out along the way, right?
Yeah, yeah. So now this comes along, right? And then it can affect different businesses. Obviously, if you're essential or if you're remote, it's affecting you a lot less. But again, this is just starting. I don't think people even have had an opportunity to miss payments yet. So we're so early on in the way this is going to affect the economy. But so I think we're all going to be affected in a way. But I also think, to me, really, I really truly think that, and you don't hear this on the news or anything, but I think that we're going to rocket out of this.
Mm-hmm.
I think the economy, I mean, you're already seeing it in the Dow Jones. It's like exploding back just when they're saying that there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
So, I like being prepared, and I'm thinking that, there's possibilities, but also on one side of my brain thinking, you know what, this is going to be fine. We're going to make it through it. And we're going to be able to actually explode out of this, because what's the difference between me doing it, you doing it, and the country going through a setback or letdown and being able to rebound and learn from it? Yeah. So, for you, going through Katrina and then now having this, how is this different for you? Well, see, the thing is, you were just taking over the business then, but still, this is different. This has got to be different for you, going through something like Katrina and then versus not going through Katrina situation.
Yeah, no, look, and Katrina was just the kind of the thing that made everything else go into motion, right? Really, for me, and there's a lot of, look, real estate and mortgage lending, this industry that we're both in and tied to, is a very family business oriented culture. There are lots of huge real estate companies, mortgage companies, appraisal companies, insurance companies that are being in the process of being passed from one generation to another. This is not a struggle that I'm alone in, right? And there's a lot of people that generational conflict, kind of figuring it out. Now, who knows? We're 15 years later where buying the company was the best move because we weren't going to get along. It may not be for y'all, but what are the lessons? First of all, for me, it's all about execution right now, which means in the short, what's in front of us and what's ahead of us. You guys, everybody out there, Mike, and all of your business interests, me and our business interest, my staff, when it comes to answering the phones or getting new courses approved or executing on our vision, everybody's got to execute at the highest possible level, because there will be fallout. There will be people who lose. There will be people who contract. There will be people who are sitting at home right now under the blankets, hoping this will go all away. They're not contacting their clients. They're not servicing their customers. They're just waiting for things to go back to normal. They may never go back to normal. So one of the biggest lessons and the thing that I think about is just executing at the highest level. And Mike, I've loved it. Like I'm on the phone calling back leads for our company and just talking to customers. And it's been an amazing experience. And what I have found is that what people want more than anything is certainty. They want certainty from the businesses they're doing business with, the people that are leading them, the families, and the people that are in charge of making decisions, right? Like everybody wants certainty. There's enough uncertainty out there. So we should communicate certainty and execute at a high level. And then the third thing is always be optimistic. Look for opportunities, seize on them. Because things like this, a lot of chess pieces move around that may not move around ever again.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Market share,
absolutely.
Money.
There's a lot of uncertainty, like you said. And if you call your clients, your prospects, even people that haven't done business with you yet, and you let them know, hey, listen, I just want to let you know we're still here. I want to call and check in on you, see how you're doing. If there's anything we can help you with, we're here. We're not going anywhere. And just to remind you, with this is important too, because we talked about this today in one of our sales meetings. I just want to remind you what I do specifically. Like, for example, in the mortgage industry, and this can translate to any kind of business. In the mortgage industry, yes, we do purchases and refinances. Mm-hmm. Yes, some people think we just do purchases. Mm-hmm. Yes, we do business in 50 states. Yes, not just Maryland, not just Florida. We do so because we think sometimes we assume things that people assume, and we assume that they know everything about us. Mm-hmm. We put ourselves on this pedestal a lot of times, thinking, hey, they know it. They know everything about me. I don't need to tell them. Yep. But you cannot. John Travolta said this at GrowthCon when he was being interviewed by Grant Cardone. He said, "Do not assume anything. Do not assume anything." Now, some people will hear that and they put it towards non-business things a lot of times. Like, don't assume. I don't know. I can't even think of an example. But in business, to me, what it means is don't assume that your clients know everything that you do.
No doubt.
Right? Don't assume that your employees know everything that they should be doing. So, yeah, that's a great point with the certainty thing. I mean, I agree. And then recently, I read this book recently, Not First or Last, right? And this book, along with the 10X rule, came out of the 2008 situation.
That's right.
And then as I'm reading this, I'm like, well, I'm going to be prepared for when something happens. So I read and studied this book, and then here we go. This happens, and all the stuff that's in that book that happened in 2008, and maybe even to a bigger extent, started happening. And when you're prepared, it's a total different ballgame. I have a smile on my face still. There's no fear inside of me. I wish the best for all those that are struggling, business-wise, health-wise. But guys, at the end of the day, there's people struggling health-wise and business-wise every single day.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't feel like this is any different, and I shouldn't act any different except for being prepared to take our business to the next level. So, yeah, speak on that, man.
Yeah, no, I love it. I mean, look, there were people that were struggling when the economy was at an all-time high. There were people that were complaining in your industry, right? Oh, well, there's too many mortgage lenders. There's too many real estate agents. You can't, it's always there's too many. And then now when the market shifts the other way, oh, well, nobody's selling anything. It's that mindset is everything. I'll give you a sales thing that I noticed I think is amazing. Calling people back, I'm getting almost 100% people on the phone. I don't know what it is about quarantine, working from home. Maybe people are just looking but normally when you're calling back leads, you're getting lots of voicemails. You're getting lots of, call me back, reminding people. I'm getting more people on the phone than ever before. That's a sign. This is a window of opportunity where you can communicate with people. And you're exactly right. The way I say it is the world does not revolve around you. And think about how busy you are. Think about all the things you got going on and your audience out there. Think about on a daily basis all the things that hit you. Now, try to imagine that on the other side of that, you're trying to communicate to them what you do, how you make money, how you can help them. You got to over-communicate. You got to do it multiple times. And you've got to nurture those relationships. And this is one of the best opportunities to do that I've ever seen. I mean, you could call somebody right now, like you said, hey, how are you doing? I mean, you're in the mortgage business. God, I can only imagine what that's got to be like right now, right? I just want you to know, hey, this is C-Roc. I just want you to know we're on top of things. I hope you're doing well. How can I help you? I mean, make 50 of those calls a day. Watch what happens because everybody's out for themselves. When you're out for them, long-term, your business is going to grow. The end. It's still about relationships.
Yep.
And I will die on that vine. That is the hill that I will die on. And I agree with you 100%. We deal with that too. We're a regional business that's going national. We were known as a real estate school. Well, mortgage is one of our biggest divisions. Insurance side of our business is blowing up. And I still have to deal with that where people say, I didn't know y'all did insurance. I didn't know y'all did mortgage.
Yeah. And whose fault is that?
Mine.
We got to that's the thing I was telling our people, like, guys, so-and-so refied and they didn't use you and you found out they refied. Whose fault is that? And that's, we say, we are like, oh man, I can't believe I didn't call those people. I didn't tell them.
No question. I've got something else. My mind's just going. I was talking earlier. I'm doing webinars like crazy for our business, which is what we were already doing. And now everybody's looking for them. So I feel like I'm doing a million. But one of the things that I think is powerful is this over communication and this skill grab and the idea that you can't communicate clear enough. You can't communicate enough, right? And that goes to your staff, that goes to yourself, and that goes to the marketplace. And if your interest is aligned with theirs, ultimately everything's going to win. But here's what I was getting at. For all of you guys out there, ladies and guys, whatever you do, you're an expert at something. You're an expert at something that's related to this coronavirus outbreak. You should be swallowing up space, producing content, writing articles, or just being on Twitter, commenting. Like if I'm a healthcare worker right now, I am the source of information on how this is actually affecting people. Right now, I'm a real estate guy. Yeah. I'm a mortgage guy like you. I'm an insurance guy. I'm putting out as much information to separate fact from fiction. Like right now, I spent all night learning about these SBA loans for real estate agents so that I could distribute information to real estate agents. I'm not getting paid for that. It's not the point. I am
Value.
genuinely trying to help people and take over. In other words, use the lessons that I know. Why keep all that information to myself? So if you're in healthcare, if you're in mortgage lending, if you're in appraisal, if you're in insurance, if you're in anything, you ought to be letting the world know your take on how this is related and swallow up some knowledge space out there. This is your chance to do that. People are on their phones. They're on the internet. Like, Mike, let me ask, you saw this coming when the Federal Reserve made the first move, when they went to 0% in anticipation of all the craziness. That was the first move where everybody kind of went, wait a minute, this virus thing might be real. And a lot of people have forgotten that. The first thing they did was emergency cuts almost to zero. I want to hear from you because you're in the mortgage business. More than I've ever seen, me personally and on my social media, people were asking about how that affects mortgage rates. I've never seen so many people calling, emailing, asking that question. And and this happens all the time, by the way. The Federal Reserve moves rates. People are never paying attention, but all of a sudden, people want to know, and people are paying attention, which means you got to be there right now because they're looking for you. They're looking for you.
Yeah, we were prepared. I mean, so I started in the refinance game before the purchase business. So we know how to do refis. We know what to look for. We know how to present them. And we were prepared. So as soon as that happened, we were like, all right, let's look. Purchases are going to still be there. We're going to make sure we have them. We're going to still go after them. But we need to grab everything we possibly can right now to help people.
Of course.
So we have, like, it's crazy right now. We have our staff, our processing staff and support staff is probably the best, not just in our industry, but probably the best support staff in any business. They work weekends. I mean, I got them. I'm not telling them to, but they're up 1 o'clock in the morning, shooting emails out, handling things. And, I'm very thankful that my goals and my visions for the company have been aligned with my people. And if you get that, man, it is like being on steroids in your business. There is no limit to what you can accomplish when you're aligned with your employees' visions. And that's what we're saying. So we were prepared. And when we saw that, we already know how to field those questions and how to explain the difference between the short-term Fed rate and mortgage rates. We go through that all the time anyway, but we were prepared to do it on a higher level. And then we would, really put gasoline on the fire of, hey, listen, don't just keep this to yourself. Tell your friends and family about this because they're spending too much money too. Then not only that, we go to the real estate agents. It's not just a purchase business, but saying, hey, listen, we want to help you guys with your business. You want to add value to your clients and all your past customers and have a reason to call them right now and tell them that they need to refi. So it was a win-win situation. They helped their clients out. They sent them to us. And it worked out. And if anybody that didn't do that or take the opportunity to do that, by the way, like there's purchase mortgage people, and I've heard this before. This is crazy to me. Oh no, I don't want to do any refis, man. I don't want to jam up my pipeline with refis. I'm a purchase guy. Oh, refis won't last long. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, dude, really? Like you're doing the same amount of volume you always do right now when we're setting records. And money's falling out of the sky for you, and you could help people more importantly. And you're not interested in that because you're a purchase mortgage person. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. That's crazy. I've heard that a lot. And one of the things that I've been saying is that's such a small little example, but it's such a good one of don't pigeonhole yourself as to what you are or what you do right now. You get a chance to evolve right now. And you can just change your mind. For instance, we're bidding on contracts right now, and I'm not afraid to share it, where we're giving webinars on wellness, where we're doing trainings on emotional well-being and this and that and the other. Like, just because we hung our hat originally as a real estate school doesn't mean that's not the only people we can help. So it's such a great example. Like you're talking about somebody that's got themselves, nope, we just do purchase mortgages. That's what we do. You do look at the market and what's happening, right? Like nope, this is what we do. Yeah, man, don't box yourself into a corner.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Like, it's the tighter your niche is, the more money you can make and more specialized you can be. But that's to me, what it is that you don't just do that niche. You just market that niche at this angle here. Then you have another niche that you market over here, but you do it all. So there's a difference between what you market and put out in one avenue or one campaign, right?
Sure.
And then there's compared to what you actually do. So I'd rather have a multitude of products, right? Like you do, but then also have each campaign going out that's very narrowed in on a niche. That's where people get confused. And then they'll just, like you said, they pigeonhole themselves. Oh, I have to have a niche because I have to specialize in one thing. And they're just getting confused on the marketing of it compared to what you do.
I mean, think about if you're a banker right now. This just popped in my head. You know how I am. I'm just firing always. So you gotta keep me reined in. Like if I'm a banker right now, a lot of them, for instance, the PPP loans in the SBA. Okay. I am unfortunate that I bank with one of the big boys that still isn't set up yet. It is garbage. It is BS. And I'm getting messed over as a small business owner. That aside, there are so many small community banks all the way up through the ranks. You realize if you did everything you could, even if you're at one of these banks that isn't set up yet, to communicate with every small business owner that you do business with or is in the market, you own the SBA space. The SBA loan is just the vessel to create new relationships. Like it's just an example. Like I would dominate that. I would love to do that. Maybe I will, right? Like SBA loans, it's just an opportunity to serve people. And then it can create the relationship where they need a credit line or a mortgage or whatever down the line, right? It's relationships over and over and over again. So I hear like my banker is overwhelmed for good reason, right? But at the same rate, this is the chance for him to nurture his relationship with his whole portfolio.
Like without a doubt.
Maybe Mike, tell me if I'm wrong, but I just see opportunity everywhere. I just see good everywhere.
I look, dude, when this was all happening, like I said, I hate to see people sick and die, but and it's like this thing now where you're insensitive if you're working hard right now and putting time in, and people have coronavirus. But guys, I've had some of my best months and worked the hardest I possibly can, and cancer, unfortunately, is still out there. Like I can't express this. I know, I don't know how else to say it, but I'm going to keep doing my thing until I'm plucked from this planet. C-Roc, your boy C-Roc is here doing his thing until I'm plucked from this planet. So that's just the way it is. But hey, listen, everybody gets on podcasts, whether you're a host or guest, and we all come on like we're the expert and we know this and we don't need any help and this and that. Let's do something a little different here. I don't think I've done this before, but you and I are both going to share in this little exercise. What is something, and I'll share with mine too, but what is something one thing that you are having a challenge with right now, whether it's in your personal life or your business?
Man, I love that. I'm really glad that you made that shift, because you're right. And I think I do that a little bit because it's my excitement trying to help others. I am purely comfortable explaining all the things that I don't know, right? I stay in my lane pretty well. So like, it's something I don't know. So what am I struggling with? Honestly, I'm struggling with figuring out how we are going to double and triple, because we were in a big hiring phase and recruiting phase. And I'm trying to figure out how we're going to get that right. With the unknowns of when the state's going to let us open back up, when the government's going to let us open back up, and then how I may have to integrate people into our culture without being in the physical same space so that our business keeps growing. For somebody that's really comfortable on webcams and all of this kind of stuff, that is still something that I think that I'm struggling a little bit with. So what you got for me there? Maintaining culture and recruiting.
Listen, you just fell right into my trap. No. Listen, we do this all the time. So I work remote. Most of my team works remote already. We do have branches. I've instilled a culture with my team remotely from day one with Nations Lending when I got here. I specialize in this, and I'm not just talking about for you, but like for anybody out there listening that's going to have to make a transition into this. We are, and I didn't know what you were going to say, but I'm just going in and answering what you brought up.
Sure.
I'm creating a company based around this to basically it's a accountability leadership. Okay. And how do you build a culture? Like even like look, Cardone's dealing with this right now. They're going remote. They're not used to that. They're used to having a boiler room, right? And how do you build a culture remotely? people are having trouble and struggling with this. How can I bring new employees in and indoctrinate them into a culture? So we have a 4-step process that we've taught with that. And that's a program that I'm doing. But I'll give you a little bit of a hint. Basically, one thing that we really focus on is over communicating. Over communication is one of the things that we really like, without a doubt. And then when we have these video calls, I expect my people to have their their camera on.
Yeah.
Like, look, dude, you might be working from home, but I need to see that you're ready, engaged. I need to see that you're ready to go. If I have a meeting and you don't show up to the meeting, guess what? There's no difference between this and us. If we're in an in-person meeting and you don't show up, or you show up late to the meeting, guess what? You owe everybody an explanation on the team, because this is no different than being in an office. We had a 10 o'clock meeting. You show up at 10:03, you're late. Right? So cracking like discipline, one, like there's a whole bunch of things that we look at, but just to give you an idea, discipline, accountability, and results. We focus on those 3 things is the main things that we really focus on when we're working remote, to build a culture, to build accountability and all that. And we always make sure that they understand why we're doing it. We paint the picture. So
do you have, I'm an active listener and learner, so maybe somebody has the same question. Do you have detailed job descriptions for your team members so that they know what they're being measured on?
Oh, absolutely, man. We have like KPIs like crazy, stats like crazy. Like I have a stat board. Like, our company has been fantastic with providing that to us. But and also one of the main things that you got to do at the end of the day is you should be doing this on an individual basis, but you got to be writing down what you accomplished that day, what activities that you did that day. If you didn't have results, like good results, still write down what you did, because then you're that much closer. But everybody's dialed into those kind of things.
Yeah.
But no, we have a whole thing laid out. We're getting ready to put together, and we're going to start going after businesses.
That's great, man.
To help them out with this, because we know that this is a big problem. And guess what? When this comes around, these coronavirus situations, you're going to have problems that you're going to have to solve, and you got to go looking for those problems. So, yeah, man, I'm glad you brought that up, because that gave me an opportunity to just talk about that. I didn't have any idea that you were going to say that. But I'll share with you my challenge. My challenge, again, and this gets us vulnerable, right? We get the opportunity to be vulnerable here. And I like that, because when people are listening, they don't want just to hear you like preach at them all the time. And I do that a lot.
Yep.
So I'm going to start doing this in my shows more. But one of the things I'm doing is I have all these ideas, man. I'm a visionary. Now, there's 2 types of people, visionaries and implementers, right? I'm a combination of both, but more importantly, right now I'm in a visionary stage. I see all these issues. I see all these problems. I see what we can do, and I'm envisioning them. But my implementation problem is I can implement like a madman. I'm an animal, but I'm only one person, right? So what my challenge right now is all the stuff that I want to do, and the urgency that I want to do it with, and the lack of patience that I have with it, because I see the problems and opportunities. I can't get enough implementers in a fast enough time. Does that make sense?
It does. It's funny, because that was going to be my 1B, and that is prioritization is as hard now as it's ever been, because I'm in the same boat. All I see is this ocean of things that our company could be doing. The next program, the people that need to be served, whether I want to spend time on this thing or that thing. So prioritization and then implementation across the team, right? Like I'm 100% on board. I've got no perfect answer, but if there is one thing that I can say, it's every single day there's a list, right? I just use old-fashioned books, right? I've been using them. I've got a stack of them. They're in the closet that you can't see since 2005 when I started.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
What do you
I love it. C-Roc. Come on, brother. Love it. And it started off with basic, like when you talk to somebody on the phone, just, information, what they wanted, making sure never to leave anybody behind. Well, now I've got a history of every phone call, every to-do list, every note. And I know this isn't rocket science, but my to-do list is always matched back to the goals that I want to accomplish. And every day, what I'll try to do is just splurge out everything that I've got. I have 5 minutes. I actually set a timer. 5 minutes. I call it just brain splat. Just everything on the page. Then the next 5 minutes is everything gets a 1 or a 2 or a 3. And then, so the 1 is most urgent. It's got to get done. It's either time sensitive or it's the most important. 2 is the next level. 3 is only if I have time, it can always be pushed off until you get there. It's not perfect, but it works for me because you know what you find over a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you find which things that you keep making time for and which things that you don't. Now, here's something I don't remember where I heard it. So then I created a to-don't list. And the to-don't list is the stuff that I never seem to make time for, that I never want to do, that I don't like, and that's the next hire.
Love it. Love it. I think that's an office hours topic. You've had to talk about that on your show before, right?
Yeah, I mean, somewhat.
Yeah, because
we all battle with that, dude.
Yeah.
We're in the same boat right now.
But I think I know the answer. Like to me, the answer is that right there, what you said, prioritizing. But really, it's pick one thing, pick the most important thing, and knock it out, and then move on to the next thing. But still, it's like I don't want to do that. Like I want to like I know that answers that thing. But what I want to do is I want to do all of it, and I want to get it done. And I don't want to make an excuse that I just want to do one thing and I'm only one person. So I want to try to get a bunch of implementers. So that's the challenge that I'm fighting with right now with that. But no, I love that prioritizing strategy.
Well, you got to, then what I would think is you need to create a system that multiplies you. So you don't need to hire another you.
Scaling.
Yeah. It's systemization at that point, right? I always talk about high producing salespeople, real estate agents that I know best. And there's only so many houses and real estate transactions one human can do. You are limited. At some point, you're limited on showings or contracts, so you either need a system or an assistant or both, right? And so I think it's the systemization and the scaling
Yeah, I mean, we've done it in the mortgage side of things. I mean, we were up to 30 some employees and we did that there. Now I'm just for the What Are You Made Of movement podcast, the coaching, the people building Inc. That's the part right now that we're in a phase of working on scaling and monetizing and all that. And that's the part that's I'm actually excited with the challenge. But listen, we're running short on time. I want to make sure we get in. How can my audience connect with you, whether it's Instagram, website, whatever it is? Fire away with that, and then any services or anything that you have to offer.
For sure. Look, I appreciate that, and your audience is super engaged and awesome. What I would say is just go to my website. It's simple, christalks.com, CHRAS talks.com. Everything is there. It's kind of the home space on the web for me. It's a long story short, but if you can get your name.com, do it, because I didn't. And so, christalks.com, because I talk a lot. The second thing is, if there's anybody out there that's looking to get into the mortgage business, that wants to become a real estate professional, that wants to get an insurance license, appraisal, all of these things, our school is throughout the Gulf South, and there's some programs we do nationwide, and that is only going to be expanding. But if I can help you, reach out to me through the website or just chris@christalks.com, and I will help you. I will lead you in the right direction, even if it's not something that we do. There are so many people that I think the right move is getting themselves set up, getting that real estate license they always wanted to, getting that mortgage license they always wanted to, getting set up for when the economy normalizes, they're ready to go. And I think that's a great thing. Also, just hashtag office hours on social, and
go subscribe to that podcast, guys. And his YouTube channel, is it under Chris Donaldson? Office hours? Yeah,
same thing. tv.thechrisdonaldson.com is the easiest way to find it. But we're just taking over hashtag office hours. Look, I'm in my home office, but it started way back in the day, just me turning on the camera and talking to the audience. I should do more of it.
And he had a great guest one time. I was watching the YouTube channel one time, and I saw this guy named C-Roc on there. And go back and watch that episode. I loved it, man. We have a good time. We have good chemistry, man. I enjoy having you on here, man.
Of course.
And so my wife's a real estate agent, and she can get her CE through you as well, like for Maryland, Delaware, or no?
Soon.
Okay. So that's why. So people are listening in different states. If they reach out to you, you can let them know if you can help them if they want to take an online course or something.
It's red tape city, man. That's all it is. So we're at a regulated business that, the kind of walled off thing. It's just a matter of time for us.
Okay. So just reach out and ask questions.
Yeah, of course. And look, for your audience, I hope this is okay. There is something that I have. We are hiring, and we need people. So we're hiring graphic designers. We're hiring course developers. We're hiring people that can do those types of things. So reach out to me if you're looking for some contract work or even full-time work. Maybe we can work together from anywhere. I can't find people fast enough, coronavirus or no. So If you're out there and
Well,
what are you made of? Show me what you're made of. Let's do it.
Yeah, they'll be coming around. I promise you, because we're still early in this, man. I'm telling you right now. So there's going to be some people looking for work. There's going to be some awesome talent available, and that's what I'm.
I agree with that,
well,
man.
So,
I agree with that.
Well, listen, thanks for coming on, Chris. I appreciate you as always, brother. And if you ever need anything, just reach out to your boy C-Roc. And you guys have been listening to the What Are You Made Of podcast with your boy C-Roc. Go check us out on YouTube as well. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you'd like to watch these. And also, please tell your friends and family, coworkers about the What Are You Made Of movement, and subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform. Until next time, it's your boy C-Roc. Thank you for being a part of the What Are You Made Of podcast. So that you don't miss future episodes, please rate and subscribe to the What Are You Made Of podcast on your favorite listening or viewing apps, and follow me on your favorite social media platforms. I would love to hear your stories of past experiences and engage with you further.